Wake Up World quarterfinals day 2. Suning defeats JD Gaming to proceed into semifinals. What's next for JDG now that they've been eliminated? Should Worlds playoffs switch to a double elimination bracket? And join us for a look ahead of tomorrow's matchup between top Esports and Fnatic.
A million miles away as the bullets keep pouring in, and Zoom refuses to die. The man is just spinning around in a circle like a gosh darn Beyblade, and he is tearing all of Suning Gaming apart. They try to disengage it, but now they've got Huanfeng coming in from the side. A very nice bullet time at the very edge of the sleep. Angels in a bad spot, but they may just turn it around. Good golly, Miss Molly. Everybody on JDG is seeing black and white. Time Angel finds the taunt onto 2. The fight is done before it even began. A double kill for Ben, an absolute destruction of JDG, and another promising game for Soon. Down nearly now to 0 HP. It's going to be slain by Huanfeng. If the man didn't already do enough this series, he just got the Ocean Soul for his team. Loken is down. Huanfeng's on a rampage, and boy is he not stopping.
Day 15 of the World Championship is in the books, and we're here to break it all down. It's Wake Up Worlds. Welcome one, welcome all to Wake Up Worlds, our ESPN Esports League of Legends World Championship program. He's Tyler, I'm Arda, and we are here with you live on Twitch and YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us every step of the way until a world champion is crowned. And we got ourselves an upset, Tyler. Oof. We got ourselves a nice quarterfinal spicy upset in the Battle of the LPL, as Suning Gaming have dispatched JDG en route to booking their ticket to the semifinals. And they were very, very impressive in this one. Lots to break down, Tyler. As we get into it right now, from your point of view, how exactly did Suning pull this off? They basically went 3 in a row after dropping game 1.
Worlds doesn't start until a big upset happens, or until a big seismic shift happens in the predictions. When a favorite goes down, that's really when the World Championship kicks off. And finally, after a very hodrum group stage, very even keel, most of the favorites making it out, not a lot of do or die matches and tiebreakers. Then we had a snooze fest yesterday of game 1, just destroying DRX. Finally, we got some spice, we got some meat on the bones. We're getting a good match here. LPL versus LPL matches always deliver on the world stage, and Suning versus JD Gaming was no different. Yesterday, I talked about how the opening, if Suning was going to win the series, it was going to come from the top side of the map with Ben on his carries, as we saw today on Gangplank. The game 3 where he got the Sheen off the level 1, 2 kills, almost instantly ending the game there, where he got 2 kills on level 1, went back to the top lane with his handy Sheen. There was nothing that Zoom could do. Pretty much game over from there. They got those top side advantages. They played intelligently, but they also played with confidence. They got through in the early games in most of their victories, but in game 4, when it looked like it was going to Silver Scrapes in game 5, when it felt like JD Gaming finally woke up and was ready to play their style of game, had a good early game, was going to the bread and butter mid to late game, have those 5-on-5 team fights, they faltered, and Suning, off the back of their young rookie 80 carry superstar, and I say superstar, Huanfeng, have made it to the semifinals. Worlds is a place where domestic stars become international superstars, Arda, and tonight Huanfeng added his name to that list, going from a big name in China. He was seen as this, the next Jackie Love, the up and coming 80 carry talent in China. But tonight he put his foot on the world stage, and everyone from Los Angeles to Shanghai knows Huanfeng's name now if you watch League of Legends professionally, because he had a night to remember.
No base is safe, even if all the turrets are up when Huanfeng is around with the Jin. 17% of you, only 14% of you predicted Suning to defeat JDG in our ESPN League of Legends predictor. Don't forget, it is completely free to play along. You can invite your friends, create a custom group, and you can battle against each other every single round until the final. Go to espn.com/League of Legends Predictor, or if you have the ESPN Fantasy app, which is also free, click on the trophy tab. As we get into our player ratings, Tyler, and this will further the story of what exactly happened here between Suning and JDG, why don't we start with Suning, Tyler? How did you rate the performance? And this is just based on this series alone, nothing previous. How did you rate the performance of the players?
So I give Bean a 9, SofM, my man, my optimism chart. My God, finally, the chart curse is over. Got him an 8. Angel, solid series, an 8. Sorter, a 9. And Huang Feng, a 10. I want to talk a little bit about Huang Feng's story. If you have not read it, I've posted on my Twitter, social media. It's very readily out there. LPL did a story in Mandarin about Huang Feng's story. iCrystallization on Twitter did a fantastic job translating that story. Huang Feng has maybe one of the most amazing stories in esports history, Arda. At 12 years old, as a middle schooler, living with a single mother, his father out of the picture, sending money, once every month, maybe if he was lucky. His mom one night ups and leaves him as a middle schooler, and he's left alone, abandoned at 12 years old, Arda. No goodbye. His mom just leaves him by himself. And from that point on, his father sends him $29 every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, he would get $29, basically famished, really no family, no one he can trust, goes through high school by himself, and at a crossroads, he could either continue his schooling or by himself, abandoned, no one believing in him, he can go and try to become a pro gamer. The one thing that he found solace in during the dark days. And he went for the dream. He went for the stars, Arda. He decided to join the amateur side, the LP, the secondary league in China, the LDL, and from there, making bits of money, a lot more than $29 every 2 weeks. Sleeping on the floors, going through the non-glamorous side of Pro League of Legends in China, having to make your way up. And now, finally, 2 years later from that day when he decided to go for it all, he is now at the semifinals of Worlds, putting on a performance to remember, hard carrying his team in a non-AD carry meta, an AD carry meta where AD carries are more seen as utility than actual hard carries unless certain circumstances, come to be. He was the hard carry in the series, putting on just this is what Worlds is all about. It's about these kind of stories where a kid gets abandoned, comes from a broken home, and this was his solace. This was his avenue to success. And now I have nothing but congratulations to the Horns to him. He's going to have an amazing career. I cannot give him all the money, Arda. Give him $1 million contract, a $5 million contract. This kid looks like the future of AD carry in LPL. And I cannot be more excited that he is one of the future faces of the sport.
Congratulations, TSM, on signing Huan Feng, replacing Double. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, people.
The clickbait. Woo!
Just kidding, everybody.
The clickbait monster is back.
It never left. It never leaves, ever. Huan Feng led everybody in the series with a 14 KDA. I also had him at a 10 as we quickly want to show my ratings here. I took a little bit of a different approach. I just thought Huan Feng was the best player in the series by far. I think everyone agrees with that. And honestly, that Jin ult is probably going to be something we talk about for years to come. Right?
So sick.
The base had no had no turrets fallen. Yeah. He sneaks into the base and just completely changes that play for the better for Suning. And that was just something that you don't see. And even the commentator, even Azale was like, I've never seen anything like this before. And when you can do something like that on the world stage in an elimination series, that's special. So for everyone else, honestly, this was a great team series. A lot of great contributors. Huan Feng led in KDAs, I mentioned. And Angel went deathless in game 2 and 4 and second in assists in the entire series. So there's a lot. Also, Bean, actually, I want to mention one thing about Bean. And this comes from our SIG Stats and Information group. He was averaging 728 damage per minute after the first 2 games on Gangplank. And the average DPM for Gangplank across all major leagues since patch 1010 was 670. 17. So he was far exceeding that across 92 games played on Gangplank. So good for him, especially that level 1 where he got Sheen. So
that game was over. It was over. That was you don't want to say it's over after level 1, but when you have a Gangplank versus a non-ranged meatball in the top lane, it's pretty much game over. Zoom couldn't do anything. Kanavi couldn't do anything. It was pretty much GG from there. And that's those level 1s, man. They're the great equalizer. When we saw it with Team Liquid in the group of Suning and G2, when they won their 2 games versus Suning and G2, it was those level 1s. And Suning, again, the level 1 group coming up big in the early game. So Bin, Bean, Huan Feng, lovely. This is an awesome story, and I can't wait to see these guys in the semifinals. They have a chance to go all the way. This team has the talent, the individual talent, and the balls, Arda. The balls, the brazen attitude to actually go for those plays, like we saw with Huang Feng in the enemy's base, opening up on the Jin. Like they have the guts to go for the big plays, and I can't wait to see what they do in the semifinals versus Top or Fnatic.
So now we shift our focus to JDG as we take a look at Tyler's player rankings for JDG. And let me start by asking this question. As we see your rankings here, was this series more Suning shining bright or JDG just not able to come to the plate and show their true potential? What do you think?
I say 75-25. I say 75 was Suning playing really well. 25% JD Gaming not playing their best. I think Zoom actually had a really good series. Didn't get a lot of opportunities, wasn't helped a whole lot. Again, that game 3 where he really was just donezo after the level 1 Sheen by Gangplank. He was kind of, even in the top lane when he was left alone, he was still trying to be the most proactive member, going for these, teleports in the mid lane, the dives, the flashes with Renekton. Played an amazing Renekton game in game 1. The rest of the team altogether, not a great day. Kanavi, kind of the ace of the team, was far off. I give him a 4. Yeah, Gao gets a 3, and that's only because it was game 1. His game 1 on Zoe was one of the best games of the tournament, in my opinion. And that kind of shows you how bad of a day Gao had. Like, he had a 10 out of 10 game 1, and he's at a 3. Without that game 1 Zoe game, he's probably at a 1. He had a terrible day. His engages on TF were woeful. He had no real impact in the game at all, and when he did have an impact, it was a -1. In the bottom lane, it was Loken and Lamau. Loken was consistently losing lane to Huang Feng, who had, again, an amazing day. His arrows were way off. His coordination with the team, he got caught out a lot. Not a good day for Loken. For Lumao, Lumao and Barrel get compared a lot. So they're very aggressive, overly aggressive supports. But the difference between Lumao and Barrel, Arda, is that Barrel is someone who gets messy in his own house. He gets messy and overbearing and he oversteps when his team has control of the jungle. So it's okay if you slip up and it's your house. You drop some salsa on the floor. It's your house. You own the house. You're good. Like, no one's gonna get mad at you. You clean it up. You still, when he makes mistakes, it's okay because they already have such a lead and have such a strong position and control over the jungle. It doesn't get them down. It doesn't, swing the game the other way. With Lumao, he will play. He'll go to the other people's houses and drop salsa all over the floor. He does not care about boundaries when it comes to other people's houses. And that's how it was in the series where Suning had control of the jungle and you had Lumao trying to make these plays. And when he tried to make these plays, his team did not have control or the wards properly set up to really help him in these adventures. And what we saw was he would go for the big play, he would falter, and the rest of the team would just kind of topple after him. And that's kind of a play where when you're up and when you have control, like Barrel has and Damwon has had for 99% of the World Championship, go for it. But Lumao goes for the big play even when he's in the other person's jungle and the other person's house, and it just gets far messy and no one wants to invite him over anymore. So Lumao, very fun player, always wants to fight. He had some kind of absent moments today. So for overall JD Gaming, far less than I expected them. I thought they would make the final. I was very bullish on them. But alas, Zoom goes out with a very good day. I would say he could be a 5 or a 6. But the rest of the team was almost nowhere to be found after game 1.
The only thing I will say is that Loken led his team in kills and died the least. He had the highest KD in game 1, the game they did win, and was positive in game 2 and 3 despite the Gangplank disadvantage. So I will give him a little bit of statistical credit, but you're right. Otherwise, there's really not much, unfortunately.
His Ezreal game was decent. It was decent, but again, they were so far out, and like they didn't play well around it, and like they should have tried to just stall out to get the Ezreal to 3, 4, 5 items. But Lumao, again, as I said, doesn't care if it's the other person's house. He's going to try to make plays even when they should be waiting outside for the proper invitation in. And they just didn't, they didn't play smart. And that's kind of the thing about JD Gaming is they are the brilliant team. They are the brains of China. They are the antithesis of what we think of LPL play, where it's all wild and aggressive. They are the, their meme in China is that they're always swilling wine, Arda. They have the wine. They're back in their, luxurious, velvet chairs, sipping on their wine, playing chess when everyone else is playing boxing. But tonight, they fell into that boxing trap and they got beat by a better fighter, Arda.
So now this brings us to what we thought we might have to update, actually, but we don't. So, buddy, after this impressive victory for Suning, where is your SofM Optimism at?
My man, it feels so good to have a chart actually work out. My boy, my man, the Vietnamese Lone Star himself, SofM, style of me. We are riding high. We're on our luxurious jet going to the semifinals. It feels so good to have a chart where it's only going up, Arda. I feel very excited about the future of this Suning team. It's the perfect underdog story. This is a story that NA people love. We love the underdog in North America, and there's no bigger underdog right now at Worlds than Suning. You have, this crazy, 50-50, I'm not going to play a tank unless you force me on it with Bin. You have SofM, the lone Vietnamese hope, after his region isn't able to participate at the 2020 World Championships because of the COVID global pandemic. You have Huan Feng. I mean, I already told you the story. One of the most amazing stories of all time. Abandoned at 12 years old. Now a superstar on the international stage less than a decade later. You have Sword Art, who has been around the scene forever, coming from the LMS, the remnants of the LMS, a league that no longer exists in its former glory, trying to lead the younger generation to, trying to lead a younger generation, Huang Feng, and try to get his own world championship. And then you have Angel in the middle, who's often overlooked, and compared to players like Knight and Chovy and even Gao, he's someone who's always kind of disregarded. And this team really are the underdogs of Worlds, and I'm excited to see their journey. I don't know if it ends in the semifinals. I don't know if it ends in Pudong Stadium. I don't know if it ends with Huang Feng raising the cup over his head. What a moment that would be. I'm already writing the Disney script in my head, Arda. I'm already pitching this to Disney right now. Disney Plus, get ready for the Huang Feng story if Suning wins, because, man, what a story this team has if they can go a bit farther. Because right now I'm on the high, man. They won. I was feeling a bit skittish coming to the series. Maybe this chart was going to be a curse. But for once, it was a blessing. For once, the chart was a blessing. And thank you, Huang Feng. Thank you, SofM. It feels so good.
I love that the red strikes are getting more pronounced as you go along. Like NA is just like a doop, and then Chovy is like a deep red. And if SofM somehow gets out of Worlds, it's gonna be like a complete erasing or something. But not now.
No, not now.
By the way, is that his face on the chart now? Oh wow! So your face got replaced by his on the chart. I just noticed that.
It's Suning, baby. It's Suning.
That's amazing.
It's the time of the line. We're not mad. We're no bad lions out here, Arda. We're not mad lions. We're happy lions out here, Arda. We're the true lion team. We are the true king of the jungle, Arda. Mad lions, that's the play-ins. We are the now and the future. Top 4, here we go. Suning, let's get it. I cannot wait for the matchup versus Fnatic or Top. It's going to be a banger.
So, speaking of Mad Lions, by the way, we did have some reporting over at ESPN.com/esports. Myself and Jacob Wolf. We'll still call it a Wolf Bomb, though. There are some changes to the roster being had. So head on over to ESPN.com/esports where you can check out our reporting and see 2 positions are in question right now, at least. According to our reporting, it's those 2 positions. There could be more, but we will find out, of course, as we head into free agency after Worlds concludes. So now let's tie a bow on JDG. As we take a look at the roster, there are 2 players that have expiring contracts, that being jungler Kanavi and bot laner Loken. Both of them are South Korean. And now we ask questions, obviously, because JDG, like you have said, Tyler, were one of the favorites coming in. If you were to pick 3 teams, they probably would have been one of them. And now they flame out in the quarterfinals. And now they look internally, and questions, of course, will be asked on what will be the future. So what do you think?
If I'm Kanavi right now, obviously, the wound is still open. It's still bleeding. It still hurts. You don't want to throw salt into the wound. But you got to go Draymond Green on this, don't you, Arda? Kanavi has to go to the back rooms, go to his hotel room, bump into his old friend Chovy from the Griffin days, who's also a free agent, and say, let's partner up. Let's do this. Let's find a team together, more than likely in the LPL, and let's run roughshod. Because both these guys during the spring and summer have had lots of success. Both DRX and JD Gaming both made top 8 at Worlds. Both Chovy and Kanavi being the respective aces of their team. I want to see them play together. They never played together on Griffin because it was always Tarzan and Chovy. It was always those two. And then Kanavi got loaned out to JD Gaming, and he kind of got lost in the shuffle, and he never really came back to Griffin because Griffin, kaboomed, and now Griffin's gone as an organization. I want to see Kanavi and Chovy team up and pick a spot where these two can go for a world championship. Maybe that's JD Gaming. Maybe if you want to, take out Loken, replace him with a more, a Chinese AD carry, bring in Chovy over Yagao, and go Zoom, Kanavi, Chovy, Chinese AD carry, and then you got Luna on the bottom lane. That's a scary team. And again, Yagao, solid player, very good player, but he's no Chovy. So if I'm Chovy, I'm Kanavi, 2 of, if not the 2 biggest free agents in the free agency pool this offseason, I'm talking to each other. They're friends. And Arda, didn't you see those photos a few days ago when they traded jerseys and Chovy was in that nice JDG jacket, smiling for the cameras? He looked good in that jersey. He looked good in that jacket. And if you're JD Gaming, you're a big e-commerce in China, you have a lot of money, you are ready to spend, you're ready to become a world champion, I think Chovy might be the next logical step. I want to see Chovy and Kanavi play on the same team.
He did look happy in that picture. Yeah. He did look happy. Yeah. Smiling.
Yeah.
Jubilant, some would say.
Yeah. If he would go to a team with a close friend of his who's already been in China for 2 years. It would be an easy transition to have a friend with him to make that transition. JD Gaming probably would offer him a lot more than a DRX or another South Korean team. He wouldn't have to come to North America, which is also a plus for him. So, if I'm Chovy and if it comes to a part where you can team up with Kanavi on JD Gaming or another LPL team, I think that's the best position because Tarzan's going to LNG Esports, so that could be another direction for Chovy. But I really want to see what Kanavi and Chovy could do together. I really want to see that tandem play out because those are 2 of the most talented young men we have in League of Legends today. And 2 superstars teaming up in the LPL or the LCK, if an LCK team wants to throw down the money, I would be all for it.
Lots of conversations are being had
this
year at
in
Worlds
that hotel.
2020.
Oh, yeah. There must be.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're all in the same hotel. Like, all the managers. Do you think
it's even more? Like, do you think it's even bigger because, like, they are in a bubble and, like, they're all presumably they're like they are all they have, right? Of course, they're going to stick with their teams, but like they're going to see other players and when they go to the restaurants or whatever is available to them. I feel like this year more than other years there would be even more conversations being had with other teams.
I mean, there's less things to do. There's less like freedom you could possibly have. Just I think maybe the only thing would be the COVID regulations. Obviously, I think there's gonna be less money thrown around by fewer teams, just because of the COVID situation. But if you're going to spend money this offseason, you're going to spend money on Chovy and Kanavi. And China right now is pretty stable when it comes to the COVID situation. Again, we're going to have fans, 6,000 fans at the final. I mean, they're in a decent spot. And I think if any league or region is going to be spending money in the offseason, it's going to be the LPL, which is growing by the day. It's the second biggest sport in China. Obviously, they're going to spend money. And, they have McDonald's commercials. Like, Victory 5 were in a McDonald's commercial, like, a few days ago, Arda. Like, it's big time right now for the LPL in China. So, Chovy and Navi are the two big fishes in the free agency pool, and I'm just waiting to see which organization tries to pull the double, because I think pairing those two together and creating your team around those two players, and especially if you have some high-tier domestic talent like Zoom for JD Gaming from other teams that could pair them with some really good Chinese talent, that's going to be a team that is going to be a favorite to go far and to battle the TSs of the world come 2021, because TES has always been more individually talented. JD Gaming, they just won off the brains and the macro and the team fighting. If you got Chovy in the mix, that brings you the X factor of the individual talent that could go against Knight, who can lane against Knight, who can maybe even beat Knight in lane, as we saw versus DRX versus TES in the group stages. I just really love the idea of Kanavi and Chovy teaming up. And they have to be talking. They got to be talking in the bubble art.
Oh, I'm certain they have to.
Oh, yeah. They got to be chatting.
So thanks for joining us here on Wake Up Worlds. Like I've been mentioning throughout the program, we are here every step of the way. We will be here for the other two quarterfinal matchups that are happening tomorrow and Sunday, where EU finally make their debut and take center stage with Fnatic and G2 in respective days. And then we'll always be here as well for the semifinals and the finals. And we will take an opportunity now to talk about a subject. There's always other conversations happening around Worlds. There's always ancillary, adjacent conversations other than what's happening on the Rift itself, especially in situations like the quarterfinal matchup we had now, because we are in a single elimination format. And that means that Suning defeating JD Gaming, impressive, but that means that JD Gaming goes home. That's it.
Out of the bubble.
Yep. It could have been one bad best-of-5 series, one bad series from any team, and they are gone. So this is a conversation that is certainly happening with the League of Legends community, and it'll certainly be exaggerated, exacerbated by what happened today with Suning versus JDG, taking nothing away from Suning's victory. But when we look at other esports tournaments and major competitions, we see double elimination brackets. And this is no new conversation to League of Legends and to Worlds. But Tyler, I think it's appropriate to have this discussion now and give our opinions on what we think of the format of the League of Legends World Championship. So when you look at the playoffs, let's start there. Single elimination, best of 5 the entire way. Are you in favor of this, or would you like to see a change?
To kick off this discussion, let's just kind of go through the last, 5 or so World Championships to see if, the best two teams really didn't make the final. If we still look at that final as the best two teams facing off. 2014, Samsung White played Royal Royal Club. It was back then. Royal has a ton of names in the organization, and a long story of RNG. But it was Royal Club of Uzi versus Samsung White. No, that was not the best final they could have. Samsung Blue most likely would be heavily favored to have made a loser bracket run, beat Royal Club, and it would be an all Samsung final in 2014. So they're not the best final. 2015, SKT versus Rocks, or SKT versus the Coup Tigers, we would say back then. Yeah, I would say those were the two best teams. No matter if there was a double elimination, we got the best final possible. 2016, Arda, we know this very well with the Rocks Tigers versus SKT semifinal in New York City. Probably the biggest proponent of why we want double elimination at these World Championships, because we would want the sequel to that at the Staples Center in the grand final. Obviously, we didn't get that. Samsung Galaxy did give SKT a run for their money in that final, but I do think the two best teams of that tournament were Rocks and SKT, so no there. 2017, we had SKT versus Samsung Galaxy. I think there, SKT wasn't the second best team. I think RNG was the second best team that split. It would have been Samsung versus RNG in the finals, unless Faker had another, Michael Jordan-esque hero performance against RNG. I don't know if he could play Superman twice. So most likely, no. I think the best two teams in that tournament were RNG and Samsung. 2018, IG versus Fnatic. This is another proponent where RNG, the heavy favorites to win the entire tournament, went out in the quarterfinals, Arda. And I think in that situation, RNG, with the loser bracket run, I would have bet on that team, RNG, making a hellish loser bracket run to make it back to the finals versus IG. So again, I think that's a tournament where we didn't have the best final possible, ended in a 3-0 stomp. And then last year, 2019, FPX versus G2. Yeah, I actually do think in the end it probably would have been G2 versus SKT in the loser final, and I think G2 probably wins that again. So I do think we end up with that final, even though it was a pretty dry 3-0 for FBX. But maybe if G2 got another chance at it, if they got to game plan from what they lost in the first winter final and came back for the grand final, it could have been different. So all that said, I think we've had two finals that have really been the true grand finals, and the rest of them have been pretty much the grand final have happened in the semifinals or before. So I do think a double elimination bracket would be interesting, at least for one world championship. I think this world championship, especially in the bubble, would have been interesting to kind of play around with it, especially when you don't have, the need for all these different stadiums. We're only in one location until the final. So I'm a proponent of the double elimination. I think double elimination for at least one tournament to try it out would be intriguing. But Riot have told me point blank, it's 99% never going to happen. They like the single elimination. They like every match having that do or die feel, and I don't think they're going to move away from it because they want to pattern their tournament after the World Cup. And in the World Cup, there's no double elimination. If France loses in the quarterfinals, if the Brazilian team loses in the semifinals 7-1 to Germany, there is no coming back for you, Bronzil. There's no coming back for you. There's no double elimination loser bracket to make a run. You're just out. You're done. That's it. So I'm for it for at least a test run, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, sadly.
Yeah, I'll full disclosure. Like I've been a part of discussions on putting on esports tournaments for other leagues, and this conversation always comes up: double elimination versus single elimination. Obviously, the pros and cons, if we were to do an analysis, double elimination is more fair to the players, more fair to the teams. And obviously, like Tyler just said, perhaps the best possible outcome in terms of the two best teams would have been reached at a better probability in double elimination than single. Single, obviously better drama, more intrigue for the fan. I think that at the end of the day, single elimination is better from the fan perspective, and double elimination is better from the game integrity or competitive integrity / team player perspective. But I agree, there's no double elimination in sports. Maybe there will be someday. Maybe the NHL and NBA will be like, you know what, double elimination, maybe we should try that.
More
sometime.
Games, more people, more butts and seats.
Exactly.
One of these leagues, especially.
Well, there's that facet too. That's a very good point, Tyler. There's that point of it too, because double elimination makes the schedules a little bit wonkier, right? Like, remember when you're booking venues, and obviously this is not necessarily a case, right? But you have to give a certain amount of entertainment, and if it's just one series, except for League of Legends, often other leagues that's not enough for people to buy a ticket to go watch, right? True. So there's a lot of factors that go into this. For League of Legends specifically, they can get away with it. Pudong Stadium would have been filled for one final. Doesn't matter.
3 million plus. Didn't you hear that? Are 3 million plus have put their name in the lottery to get picked for the 6,000 seats that will be filled for the World Championship final. 3 million people in China are gunning for those 6,000 spots. Good luck to you all. I'm not surprised at all. I'm sure there's going to be millions, 100 million plus, probably watching from China for the final, especially if there's a Chinese team playing in it. Good luck to you all. God be with you, because you're going to need a lot of luck or a lot of rigging to get your spot in Pudong.
You know what I asked, actually? I asked this of Riot. I haven't gotten an answer. I wonder if they're going to bring in virtual fans as well. I don't know. Like, and I'm using the WWE's doing this right now. They have a Thunderdome where they have like screens. Yeah, the Thunderdome. They have like screens. It's actually very impressive. I have to give them credit. Like virtual screens with a bunch of fans experiencing it without any actual fans in attendance. But now that Riot will have fans in attendance, I wonder if they'll still fill, like, if they'll have like screens with like, I don't know, VIP fans in a certain section or something like that.
That'd be cool. I mean, I think it's definitely something Riot could do. I mean, as we've seen with their AR, they've changed the we've seen like one stage look in 20 different ways already. Like, if there's anyone who can actually make these virtual fans look good, and I'm not saying that the Thunderdome for the WWE or the NBA live fans and Disney didn't look good, because they did, especially the NBA ones. I thought they looked pretty seamless. It didn't look out of hand. But if there's one team, there's one area where I think, Tencent and Riot feel like they could make their stance on this whole virtual fan thing, they're the ones to go to. They've always been the leaders when it comes to this virtual reality, AR kind of setup. And I think we might be seeing more of that come the World Championship. I'm sure we're going to see some, KDA, augmented reality. And I'm sure we'll see some more things with the World Championship. But I think virtual fans is an interesting thing. And I think they could make it something that make it all their own and make it different and make it the cool thing where everyone else is copying from it.
So to tie a bow on the conversation, you personally, Tyler, your opinion, would you be in favor of a double elimination at Worlds?
I would try it for MSI. I think MSI needs a little spice, kind of differ it. I think if you want to keep the World Championship as the World Championship, as the end all be all, so be it. I'm fine with that. If Riot wants to keep it as the World Cup equivalent, and they want these do or die matches, and they want to see the pain on like a JD Gaming's face after they lose one best of 5, and that's it. And that is the thrill and agony of sports, right? You want to see the highs and lows. You want to see these huge upsets happen, and you want to see it be a do or die scenario. I'm okay with that. But I do think I think double elimination at MSI would be interesting. I think there's less teams, so there's gonna be fewer wonky schedule setups. Only 4 teams make the bracket stage, so I think a double elimination for MSI would be something interesting to try out. And if it works really well, maybe you move it to Worlds in a few years. But I think MSI double elimination, I would start there, and I think that would be something to make it different than a world a lesser Worlds, because everyone always looks at MSI as a lesser Worlds. If you make it a double elimination and you change up the format, maybe people will see it as something different and something new.
I love that. Yeah. I love that idea because we already see it in the regionals and it's perfectly fine. Try it at MSI. That's a great idea. You know what, Riot? We've solved it. Try it at MSI 2021 and give Fionn credit when you announce it, as announced by Tyler Erzberger on ESPN.
You announced it right here. It makes total sense. It makes totally complete sense.
You're absolutely right. That's actually a really good idea. Okay, before we end the show, let's give a preview of tomorrow's matchup. Top Esports, TES taking on Fnatic. EU makes their debut in the quarterfinals. This is one of 2, of course. On Sunday, it'll be Gen G taking on G2. This is the favorite on paper taking on a team that you have said, Tyler, actually has a pretty good shot against them. So what do you make of this matchup?
Pretty good shot is like a 25%, 20% chance. But after seeing Suning beat JD Gaming, I actually a bit more excited about this matchup. The things that I said yesterday about how Suning could beat JD Gaming, they rung true. And I think those same things can happen with TES, where I think level 1s, I think Self-Made, Hillsong in those level 1s, they're the great equalizer, Arda. They're the great equalizer. It does not matter how great of a laner you are. It does not matter how powerful a team you are. In level 1s, it really does come down to a lot of times the split-second decision-making and intellect and planning over pure power. So maybe throw in a cheeky level 1, get a lead there, get Whippo or Self-Made ahead early and get them off to the races. Control that top side. The bottom side, I think if you can just keep Jackie Love in check, and I do think Reckless might not be able to beat Jackie Love, but I think he's good enough and a veteran enough to keep him in check in the bottom lane, especially if Hillsong roaming around the map. And for me, it really just comes down to Self-Made. Can Hillsong and Self-Made as a tandem, that jungle support duo, control the jungle? Can they get Self-Made, rolling? Obviously, that Evelyn's going to be banned. So he'll most likely get to play either a Nidalee or a Graves for most of the games. And if he gets one of those 2, swords in his hands, they're going to need Self-Made to come up big. If Self-Made has a 6 out of 7 or a 6 out of 10, a 7 out of 10 day tomorrow, maybe Fnatic takes a game or 2, but they're not winning the series. For Fnatic to win and to take down the tournament favorites alongside Damwon Gaming, Self-Made needs to have a 10 out of 10 day. He needs to be the Huang Feng of tomorrow, Arda. We need to be talking about Self-Made in the same way we talked about Huang Feng today, where he took the bull by the horns and he rode it. And he said, this is not getting away from us. I'm going to win this series for our team. Because Karsa, as I've said many times on the show, he's a great enabler of skilled players. He's great getting his lanes ahead. During the summer split, he's usually at a negative gold compared to the opposite jungler in CS differential because he's getting his lanes ahead. This time around, the jungler, for the most part, needs to be clearing his junglers fast. They need to be on the top of the game. They cannot let the jungle get away from them, and we see a lot of the laners enabling the junglers. So Karsa needs to stand up on his own and have a big game in his own right. But I do think there's an opening for SofM to kind of take over the series as that hard carry jungler. And Bwipo, especially in the top side, Bwipo has had a very good tournament. And while 369 has also had a very strong tournament of his own, I don't think Bwipo is a player that's going to back down from playing one of the best players in the world. Bwipo lives for these moments. SofM and Bwipo tomorrow need to come up big. And if those two players tomorrow have 9 out of 10 games and a 10 out of 10 game in SofM's case, Fnatic will win the series. I just want to know. I'm excited to see if they can do it, because I do think Fnatic has a team in this meta that can excel and go very far, similar to Suning. So TS, not their best meta, especially when Knight is going to be most enabling Karsa and more than likely playing utility mages like the Galio, or snowballing his lanes ahead of like a TF. He's not going to get his Syndra more than likely if Fnatic is smart. So I still have TS winning, but I think it's going to be very close. If SofM can come up big, if SofM shows up, this is going to be a very fun series. And I think we're going to have a very high intensive series. Nothing like the DRX Damwon series. Fnatic might be outgunned, but they're not going to go down like DRX. They are going to, if they're going to go down, they're going to go down fighting. They're not going to go down just limping over, falling over. Bwipo and SofM, if they're going to get eliminated from the bubble, they're going to get kicked out by, they're going to have to be thrown out of the bubble, because I can't wait for this match. It's going to be so exciting.
Top Esports TES taking on Fnatic tomorrow, and Gen G versus G2 on Sunday. Both days we will be live at 11 a.m. Eastern on Twitch and YouTube post-game to break it all down for you. And on Sunday's edition, we will also give you a little bit of a semi-final preview here on Wake Up Worlds. Before we go, some final thoughts. Something we haven't mentioned on the show, Tyler. How about the fact that Twice, very popular K-pop group, will be featured on KDA's upcoming album? The full 5-song track list has been released, and Twice is on the song. I'll show you. Huge get for Riot. This is an enormous K-pop band. This is great.
Ooh, enormous. I mean, what kind of fan are you? Are you a Mina fan? Are you a Sana fan? A Jiho fan? I'm more of a Momo guy myself. I think Momo is my favorite member of Twice, but no, actually, I'm a fan of Twice. I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not a once member. They're not. I don't have posters of Twice. When you twist my camera a little bit, you just have a whole room of Twice memorabilia all around my room. I promise it's not like that. I promise. But no, Twice is a huge get.
Turn the camera around, Tyler.
No. I'm sorry. No.
What you got in the room?
No. I promise. I don't have 20 Momo posters right out of eyesight right here. But it's a huge get for Riot. And already, like, I posted the news of Twice working with Riot on the KDA album, and it already has over like 80,000 impressions in less than 2 hours. Like, the Twice fans are in it. Like, I would not be surprised if, I think they ended the registration early for the World Finals, because they knew if they announced that Twice was going to be involved with KDA at all, that another 2 million fans would be registering for the final, just for the 10% chance maybe Twice would be involved with the World Finals, Arda. That's how big Twice are. They're one of the biggest pop groups in the entire world. I've talked about a lot about how I thought this year would be the year that BTS, possibly or arguably the biggest band in the world, would play at Worlds, and they would do skins around the BTS members as Aphelios and Ezreal and Set. I still think that's in the makings. I would not be shocked if that happens in the next coming years with how big of gets they're getting from Twice and G-Idol, and they really are focusing in on that Korean market, which is a behemoth. I mean, it's a phenomenon in South Korea and has been for the last decade, but Twice is such a huge band, and I'm really excited to see what they do. The KDA album in itself it's grown so fast and so large so quickly from, these are first, like, this is the greatest promotional tactic maybe in video game history, Arda. Literally, this is all based around selling skins. These are all around selling skins for characters in a 5-on-5 MOBA game. And we have now a full EP coming out around these characters that are going to be selling skins hand over fist. And now they have bands like Twice and G-Idol who were already part of the first KDA album with Mass and Beers back, and so many more. Like, it's a behemoth. It's monstrous, and it's so cool to see. And it's only the beginning. I think Riot knows how well they do with their music, and we see their music expanding year after year, not only in League of Legends, but TFT and Valorant as well. It's going to become a point where they're just going to have Riot concerts worldwide. We're going to have a Riot Games concert in South Korea in a year or two, where we have Twice as KDA and Travis Scott with the Valorant World song. And nothing is impossible anymore. A few years ago, if you told me that we would get Twice for a Worlds or even a Riot promoted thing, I'd be like, they're too big. Like we can like Imagine Dragons, that was huge, but they were fans. They were truly like diehard fans of the game before they became the faces of like the first real wave of Riot Games esports music. But now we're in a space where I don't think there's anyone they couldn't get. If it's Ed Sheeran or Taylor Swift or BTS, I would not be shocked at all. I think Riot has really shown that they know how to make bangers, and all these videos get over 100, 200, 300 million hits on YouTube, millions, billions of plays on Spotify. And you see the Spotify partnership at Worlds, where the Spotify is one of the major sponsors, where you have the Spotify, music break after every, after every commercial break. You have the Spotify music break. Like, it's just becoming bigger. The music part of Riot is just growing year by year, and they have a fabulous team out there. I love the guys who I've talked to, like Toa Dunn, who I believe runs the music department at Riot. Like, brilliant people over at the music development part of Riot, and they just keep hitting wins. Like, there's not been one real loss they've had. They just keep on hitting W after W after W, and Twice, that's huge. And I cannot wait to see what they do at the Pudong Stadium in terms of their opening performance, especially with how they're probably going to use more virtual reality with the more open space they have without 50,000 fans being there. Gives them more space to do things virtually. So it's mind-boggling. Just in 10 years from now, we're gonna have like opening performance on the moon, Arda. Like, everything's out the window. Riot's gonna control the music scene in 10 years. Like, they're on a hot streak of all hot streaks.
To all K-pop fans watching this right now, I immensely respect you. You are a very passionate and powerful bunch. I would like to say that I know nothing about Twice. So if you would like to send me clips, if you would like me to sample their music, if you would like to suggest the first song I listened to from a Twice album, please tweet me at Arda, A-R-D-A, and let me know how I should begin my Twice journey musically, because I'm very curious to hear. I will tell you this one story before we go. I did a event in New York with Icon a couple years ago.
Oh, I love Icon. Those guys are great.
So Icon, I believe this was the first time they made an appearance, at least like this, in America. And there was one point in the show, and it was with Ninja, by the way. It was Ninja and Icon. Okay, just think about the scene, okay? So I did this whole thing with the crowd to ask them, how many people are here to see Ninja? How many people are here to see Icon? Now, I did Icon first, and I was like...
Big mistake. Big mistake.
This was one of the biggest mistakes in my hosting career. How many people are here to see Icon? The place unglued, goes nuts. And Ninja turns to me and goes, you should have asked for me first. Yeah. And that's the power of K-pop, people. So this just shows you the magnitude of Twice being involved. But you're right. This is a no-brainer. I look forward to Worlds 2021 when BTS and Riot are presenting on the moon, like you said. It'll be great.
It could happen. At this point, nothing's out of the table. And like Twice is legitimately one of the biggest K-pop. Let's put K-pop out of the equation. They're one of the biggest bands in the world. So it's gonna be wild. I cannot wait for our all-out review show for Wake Up Worlds. We're just gonna rank the all-out EP songs on the show.
And I hope we do that. That'll be a lot of fun. You don't have to hope for any of future shows, because we'll be back tomorrow after Fnatic versus TES. Please join us. Good vibes and acts of kindness, everybody. We will catch you tomorrow. Your optimism chart's intact, Tyler. I'm very impressed.
Yeah. I mean, I was